Hi, I'm Sophia Bejarano, and this is my second video assignment on La Poeta del Ring. This movie that we watched in class with the substitute was really interesting. I thought that it did a great job of touching on topics such as like prejudices and stereotypes that were not only consistent then, but are still to somewhat consistent now, or relevant to today's society as well. Just thinking about the adversity that she faced coming from the fact that not only was she a woman, but she was also ethnic, presenting yet another sort of obstacle for her, which it shouldn't have been. But something that I was just thinking about while we watched it is that for every milestone that society reaches, somebody always has to be the first. And this was especially true for her, finding that she was confronted by, a man who was presumably in a position of power and was basically told to throw the fight against the other woman who was the champion of, or who hadn't lost a fight, presumably, which was very demeaning. He wouldn't even talk to her. He, had to do it through a second person, which, it makes you think that, like, he didn't even see her as, human or, a person. It was somebody that he could look down on, something that he could avoid, someone that he could avoid interacting with, which is, just like we were talking about in class, it completely steals her voice. It was just really emotional to see that not only was she facing the adversity of having to fight as a girl in a world of men at the time, but additionally, even against another woman, she was being told to throw the fight purely because of her ethnicity, which was horrible. But and furthermore, just every man, aside from her trainer, of course, just the disrespect that was coming from all of them. Even when she was throwing up this look, you could just kind of read that they were thinking that she was weak, or not up to the challenge, which was so untrue, clearly, seeing as how she did in the end of the show, or the movie. But just seeing all this adversity that she faced and the ignorance of the men in it, because and the way that they based their opinions. I think that ignorance has no foundation that you should, stake your morals on, because it was really emotional to see how they were acting so close-minded, and even the parent of the little girl was kind of trying to steer her away, in part because I think he could tell that his daughter idolized her a little, and I think he was, deep down kind of concerned that his daughter would have to face the same adversity, which I think should have been a dead giveaway, that, the way that society viewed her wasn't right if they wouldn't be comfortable with their daughters or their mothers or their sisters being treated the exact same way. Closeness, or, relation should have no effect on how women are treated. It was just a really emotional piece, because I feel like sometimes that this is still partially relevant to today's society, seeing how women are paid less than men in jobs. And furthermore, when a man establishes a family, chances are he's getting a promotion and a raise, whereas women actually face a deduction, and because the people are anticipating maternity leave, they're anticipating women to take the step to become caregivers, and to put less emphasis on their jobs, which is, a super disappointing viewpoint. And people actually have estimated in studies, I wrote a paper on it, that if women were to be paid equal or the same wages as men, it would actually decrease poverty by 3% to 8%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is, and it's a small difference that our society could make to, really establish women's place in society, because this is consistent throughout history. I mean, the women's suffrage movement was delayed, I think, 60 years because people had deemed it that there was too much change at the time, and they didn't want to pressure society, and so it was delayed, which, you know, is really disappointing that, you know, in societies that we say are free and that, you know, women are still so oppressed, even if it is less than what it is, than what it was. But yeah, and especially being, you know, a woman in this society and understanding that these are factors that affect me and my sister and my mom, like, you know, it's, you know, a little disappointing, but on one hand, I'm glad to see that we have come further because of women like the ones we saw in La Poeta del Ring, because they've really helped push society further. And, you know, as hard as those steps were for them to take, and as hard as it was to be the first, you know, they did help set us to where we are today, which is a better place for women, you know, and in jobs, in sports, and, you know, it's just seen everywhere. But yeah, so that was kind of what I thought was the message of the movie, was just kind of, you know, viewing women's society, or, you know, women's position in society at that time, and the steps that it took and the effort it took to get to where we are today. But yeah, thank you.